What's going on? All right, welcome to another episode of Doc Connect Wednesdays. This is episode 93. We're about to dive right in. Champ Bobbitt, Steve Bayonne. Steve, talk to him, bro.
Yeah, if you were on the members only call yesterday, you kind of know we gave it all we had for the week. So we had to pull a couple rabbits out of the hat. So listen, Bitcoin was at an all-time high today.
Yep, absolutely.
Why do you think
109.
that happened?
Oh man, you know why that happened. The criminal, the associate that connects the dot. Tether.
So Michael Saylor didn't buy anything. None of these ETF inflows are showing any spikes.
Nope.
Tether mints over $2 billion. You got the transactions?
Yep, absolutely.
Hold on. So when we tell you Bitcoin is being propped up, Chance been saying this for over 3 years. It's called a tether pump.
Y'all can see my screen?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
All right. Y'all make sure y'all mute up too. Stay muted, please. We're gonna keep this as clean as possible. So this right here is the actual transaction. So when we told y'all they mint out of thin air, $1 billion was minted at the Tether Treasury at 7:47 this morning. That's the first transaction, right? The very first one. 1 minute later, 7:48 a.m., 1 billion Tether was minted on the Tron network. So that's $2 billion out of thin air. Magic money. What happens today? Bitcoin hits a brand new all-time high. 109,000. Well, actually, now it's even higher at this very moment. $109,827.72. And it's going to keep fluctuating.
Can you turn your days to hours in your chart?
Can I turn my days to hours?
Top right. Yep. 3 dots.
Oh, got you.
Got it.
I don't know why it's doing. I don't have an option to change it.
Go to log. Nothing on it.
Nah, Yeah, I don't know why it's like that.
I want to show you guys the time. All right, you can scratch that. Listen, guys, this is always a trend with Bitcoin and Tether. This relationship's been going on for a long time. All right. We told you Tether's in court for doing this exact thing. They told them do not mint anymore. So this doesn't mean that Tether today bought, well, prior to today, they would have had to buy $2 billion in liquid assets. That's what the stablecoin regulation reads. So right now, you're just supposed to be a one-to-one on your own accord. There's no checks and balances right now with any of these stablecoins. You know, you have Circle. You can go to Circle's treasury. It could show you exactly what they have on their website. Whether or not we can confirm that, we don't know. But that's as transparent as you can be right now. If you're showing the public, this is what we're holding. This is why we're one-to-one. Tether has yet to ever show any of their holdings. And then even going back to the last 2 or 3 years, they were tied with heavy money in China and Evergrande. And it's like nothing ever happened with the China Evergrande situation. So even before the tariff war, most of these countries are supposed to be on the brink of collapse, if not collapsed on that. So Tether's not the only one that's printing fake money. China prints fake money. China prints fake cities. They have fake GDP. They build cities and they have no humans living there, and they add it to their GDP. So every country is pump faking. But I want you guys to be aware, when Tether prints and mints, Bitcoin pumps every single time. I looked at the ETF inflows and outflows. ETFs have been sitting flat, right? Even in the last 2 months, you look at the pricing of crypto all across the board, everything's been quiet. Because what happens? When there's times of uncertainty, you know what big money does? It pulls it out of the markets and it sits on the sideline. They're not bouncing it around like they used to. If anything, gold's getting a lot, and these bonds are becoming big play bonds for these guys.
Yep.
Because they know eventually once the stablecoin regulations come and they unleash this stable coins to all the banking institutions that anybody can have. You can have a stablecoin, not gonna have a stablecoin. They don't care. Just register, be transparent about it, and make sure you buy those government bonds. So all this all-time high situation, I don't care what any of these Bitcoin maxis say, they're not buying at 107 today. They weren't buying at 105 yesterday. You understand? So none of the big boys bought. Michael Saylor and them ain't purchasing a little bit. And this happens this morning, and then we have an all-time high today. This ain't a Ponzi. I'm just asking. Because if something is to be called of store value, it's never supposed to go parabolic in price. It's supposed to be stable for the most part. And there's supposed to be things that react or things that happen that cause a store value to get more capital to come in, like gold, right? Gold is a hedge against inflation for not only big institutions, but regular retail investors. Gold is starting to be a stockpile for countries now. That's why Europe is on the brink of collapse, because so many people are putting their money into gold. They don't have control over it. Gold is as sovereign as you can get when you're holding it in your hand, right or wrong.
Facts.
So now all of a sudden this thing called Bitcoin comes around in 2009 and it's doing all of this in this moment, in this time. And what does it do, champ, again? Because I might have missed it.
Bitcoin?
Yeah.
You mean the beta test coin?
Maybe I missed in the white paper what it does. What does it do?
Nothing.
Oh, okay. So y'all see this Ponzi scheme? So I'm not telling you that they're going to kick the leg out from under it without me telling you that they're going to kick the leg out from under it. Because at some point you figure if you remove Tether from the equation and they're no longer mint it, right? When Tether gets out the way, we're talking about honest, shit's going to be honest now, right? Or more honest. So then the price has to react if Tether's not around. Bitcoin's not 100,000. At best, it's 25,000. At best. All right. So you got Tether pulling money out the sky and Bitcoin pumping every single time. Champ, I've been saying this shit for over 4 years now.
And
You still got that chart?
Matter of fact, hold on. Did you ask me to do this before I even pull this up? Did you ask me this, or this is live?
No.
You just asked
No,
me
no.
right now.
I don't know. We got on the call at 7:30. I'm like, yo, let's go. So there was no pre-planning.
Got you. Okay. Just checking. Because what I did was I wanted to
Tether.
bring up some receipts, right? So I went to my old Twitter, and I've been saying this before this was actually posted, right? I went in, and this is the most recent joint that I could find, and this is the chart. I said this November 10th, 2021, and I said, for reference, this is the Tether Bitcoin marriage visually so people can correlate it, right? People are visual learners. So every single time that Tether prints, they buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin price skyrockets.
Wait, before you go there, that middle section, right, should be they entered the derivatives market.
It should.
Right? Because now you're a market maker. So if you can print and buy, that means you can sell.
Facts.
And affect the market. Go back to CoinMarketCap. How much is Bitcoin up right now today?
Bitcoin is 109.
No. How much is it up right now today in 24 hours?
Oh, give me 1 second. I had to pull it back up. Hold on.
Oh, no, I keep all that. We're not done with this shit. All right, if anybody on the call can just go to CoinMarketCap, let me know how much is Bitcoin up in the last 24 hours.
In the last 24, it's up. It just say 2.67%.
That's it?
That's in the last 24, and that's per the chart.
I mean, that ain't bad. All right, so understand, if $2 billion could swing that market a couple percentage points, right? So if I'm right after they print, actually before they print, they're probably opening up derivative positions with whatever they have in reserve on exchanges. Okay, that's the play. So once they print, they know they're going to do a large purchase order. $2 billion since the market, it affects the market 2 to 3 to 5%. When you could be a market maker, you could easily put 40x behind this.
For sure.
Easily put 40x behind them. So now, if they are in the derivatives market and they just put $1 billion play on something like that at a 40x, guys, this is the Ponzi, right? They're pulling it out of thin air. They're playing with it inside of whatever exchange. Then they add the money, inject it into Bitcoin, and then it rises, and then they cash out the exchange. And they could do that on the way up. That means they can do it on the way down, right? This, no other buying pressure has been put on Bitcoin from an institutional standpoint. Got it. Now, you bring in the Michael Saylor situation. How much debt do you think is attached to Bitcoin in all the institutions, the ETFs and everything? And what do I mean by debt? So when these guys got these Bitcoin ETFs, you know what they're doing with them? They're borrowing against it. And not one-to-one either.
Absolutely not one-to-one.
Not one-to-one, because you know fractional banking is 10 to 1. Right? So for every $1, it's 10. So let's say even if it was 1-to-1, you borrow against it, and what's the next play they do when they borrow against it? They buy more Bitcoin.
Every time.
So now Bitcoin is on debt from the original purchase that was made from the debt that was acquired from the Bitcoin that was bought on debt. And if I had to guess, Michael Saylor probably came into it on debt with the first purchase. So that means every single purchase from about 16,000, his average price from then was about 27K. It has to be way more now. Right? It has to be way more now because they've been buying at 50, they've been buying at 70, he's about to buy now. So now you got all these institutions doing the same thing. They buy it on debt. They raise the capital. Well, people then inject into their ETFs. Then they do what? They turn around and they buy the Bitcoin with that. And then they turn around and borrow against the Bitcoin to then buy the Bitcoin again. And they are manipulating the market. They've been doing this forever. There's no rules and no clear regulations. That's why we'll never get to a resolve when it comes to Bitcoin. Because it was really put here for the bullshit. Straight up.
Smoke that.
I don't got nothing left for them.
Real shit. Nah, man.
All right, well, now finish. No, go. Matter of fact, go through your chart. And this is in 2021, guys.
This is
Half of you
2021.
probably wasn't even on us back then. Now we hot. Y'all all on us.
Talk your talk. Nah, man. So listen, he broke that down perfect. I
No,
really
I'm
don't-
only in the beginning. I need you to take us through this. What is this?
I got you. Hold on. Matter of fact, let me get this floating joint out the way. Listen, this joint, he broke it down flawlessly. Tether prints tethers out of thin air. They buy Bitcoin. Then the price of Bitcoin skyrockets. This actually happened again today. The arbitrage bots then buy Bitcoin / USD because everyone assumes one tether is $1, right? Bitcoin USD jumps to match that, right? When you're talking about arbitrage, you're buying the lesser, and then you sell it, right? You buy it so that you get the premium, right? And then you sell it off. You make profit off of it. The price increase brings in more money. That's you guys, the retail investor, the uninformed person that has no clue. You just see the market running, you're chasing pumps. That's why we tell you, do not FOMO, right? Don't do it. That quote unquote dumb money, right? Their words, not mine, comes in. Once that comes in, the price of Bitcoin goes up even more. The all-time high earlier today, right? I showed you guys the timestamp. When they did the first billion, that was at 747. The second billion was at 748. And at 747, that's indicative of a plane crash. But I ain't gonna go there. So that Bitcoin hit 109,424. We just showed you the price currently right now is 109.8 and some change. That means more money came in. The chart is spot on. It's telling you more money came in, the price went up. Where do you think that money came from? You guys out there. All right, now that the price is up, two things are going to happen. Tether is going to sell Bitcoin for USD. They're going to take their profit, right off the top. Once they sell it, guess who else has the bag? You all. So when the price dips, what happens? It's going to trade sideways for a second, and then we're going to come back to you again, and we're going to say, hey guys, Tether just minted another $1 billion. The market, the Bitcoin is going to go up again, and this whole chart is going to repeat itself. This thing has not ended. It's been going on ever since. And this is, I could show you right here. November 10th, 2021. This thing has been going on. They're not going to stop this until Tether dies. They're going to
Look what you
continue.
wrote. Tether dies, Bitcoin crashes.
That's it. Like I can't make this up. This thing has been existing and it's been around for years. This is not a new talking point, but I just wanted to bring this around because today was just perfect timing. They're going to continue to do this. They're going to continue to manipulate markets, but there was no new inflows. This came out
So,
of thin air.
so listen, that's the front door, right? I'm gonna give you out the back door. Pause. So here's the back door with the Ponzi scheme. Look at every institutional person right now that either owns an ETF or is about to have one, right? Listen to all their talking points. Kathy Woods, $2 million Bitcoin. Think about it. These are the most powerful and most influential money managers in the world that are throwing out these numbers. Like, okay, so how do you get to $2 million? Eric Trump, he goes out to Qatar and they're trying to sell to Saudis and all these guys in UAE on Bitcoin. Nobody owns Bitcoin. How are these guys doing all these Bitcoin talks? Like, why you're talking on the behalf of a company that nobody owns?
Crazy.
Right? So more backdoor shit. Every analyst, every financial analyst is now saying this thing can get to 500,000, 1 million, right? And now think about it. Now everything is the exposure, right? Lately, all the money managers, yeah, we're telling our clients you need to have more exposure in cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, they say, right?
Always.
You see where we're going with this right now? When the system is put together and the rails are set up, and then you start to see the institutional adoption of what the technology was really put here for, then you start to see what smart contracts are. Then you start to see what interoperability is. Then you start to see like how life becomes a lot more easier for us. Then you start to see how decentralized shit really is when you need to raise capital off of all that money that y'all gonna get in a minute. Nobody's gonna be thinking about Bitcoin. Watch how they leave it alone at this point. So riddle me this: who owns Bitcoin?
The agencies, them alphabet boys.
So I don't want to hear nothing. You Bitcoin maxi pads, y'all tripping. I get it. Get your money. But if you don't think that this table is a three-legged table, and that fourth leg is the government. No, actually, the fourth leg that they're about to kick out is that retail money that's in there. Y'all gonna be the last ones with that because y'all hodling until this thing gets to $1 million. Good luck. And even if it did, that's only a 10x.
That's a fact.
Let's talk about it. Take them out, champ.
Listen, you want to end it here?
No. Rock them a little bit.
All right.
I'm done. But I'm gonna jump on mobile.
I bet. I got you.
Love you.
So listen, this is perfect transition. So we never, ever was a group of guys who promoted Bitcoin. We appreciate the technology, what it did from the jump, right? Because that opened the door for other innovation. Now, the creators that helped create and they basically looked at Bitcoin and said, there's a lot of shortcomings, there's a lot of inefficiencies, we can't scale this thing properly. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to create the Bitcoin 2.0. This is the next projects that literally were trying to do what Bitcoin set out to do, but couldn't achieve. And now they're doing it, right? I always told y'all my personal, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just telling you guys what my personal viewpoint to this is. My favorite cryptocurrency, period, is XRP. I put that on the table. There's a reason behind that. It was my very first digital asset I ever invested in. And it was because I did the research, right? I knew that this thing was poised to take off. This thing was going to disrupt the way we move, the way money moves. The plan from the jump was to move all money at the speed of light, essentially the same speed that we transfer information, right? Like an email is sent or a text is sent rapidly, right? And I'm like, everybody is thinking about bread and how money moves. If the inefficiencies is the problem, if money can move fast, that's the solution. Bet it was that easy for me. When I made the connection point, now fast forward 10 years later, 2025, I see things like this. And I'm going to share my screen so y'all can see it too. Boom. So today, I see a whale just purchased 236,982,972 XRP. That's worth $569 million off of Kraken. The amount of cryptocurrency that was just purchased, of this particular cryptocurrency that was purchased, gave me like such a rush, because this is the day that Bitcoin just hit an all-time high. Now, the last time XRP was stagnant, when Bitcoin made a huge move and hit an all-time high like this, the next step was the God candle. It was a super green candle. I'm talking about the joint just rocketed. It skyrocketed. If y'all was here, 2018, then y'all know. If you weren't here, you might want to go back and go look at the chart and just see how XRP moved. It was one moment and the joint just was a God. This is what they call it, quote unquote, a God candle. It's when you see green and it goes from a level like this and it just literally shoots straight up. That's what's called the God candle. Now, I'm I'm just excited for the simple fact that I already know what I hold, and I know what anybody else who invested in it holds, right? But I want to show you guys the detail. One, there are people who look at the transactions and they say, all right, cool. Let me monitor this. Let me see if this is actually authentic, if this is a real transaction, or if somebody's just making something up out of thin air, right? So he took the liberty of doing it. I still pulled up the transaction, so I have it. But in this chart, you guys can see something. This is the transaction hash. This tells you exactly the hash. If you ever needed to go onto the blockchain and find it yourself, you could use that and be able to pull the transaction right up, right? So I used the transaction, looked at it. This is what I want to show you guys. This is the most important thing. Do you know the fastest Bitcoin transaction that ever happened on the XRP ledger? It was the cheapest and fastest transaction ever. It happened on the XRP ledger. Now, this transaction today, May 21st, 2025, this is the amount that was delivered. So the amount is spot on, 236,982,972. Here's the gem. Look at the fee. Look closely at that fee, 0.006 XRP. This is what they mean when they say move value in 3 to 5 seconds, but you're doing it super fast, efficient, but you're doing it cheap. This is cheap. Do you understand this? This is less than a penny. 0.006 XR of an XRP. That's pennies. This is wild. And this is what is happening around the world with banks, fintechs, institutions. It's all happening right now. This is why they are doing their absolute best to keep pushing Bitcoin and Ethereum in your faces, but they will not tell you on the public grand stage that XRP is the one. But there's documents that keep coming out day after day, and they're showing you that XRP is too big to fail. Is that just a talking point? Absolutely not. It's not just a talking point. I'm going to show you guys something that I found a little earlier today. So give me 1 second. I'm gonna share my screen so y'all can see it too. Now this is absolutely documented. I don't know why it's delaying, but it's taking a little second. Bear with me. Now it's documented, right? This study came from one of the executive professors at a prestigious college university. All of our students, you guys will get this, and I'll even include the link when we provide the playback for everybody. So in the description on YouTube, you guys will be able to click this and view it yourself. Now it's circled for you right here, clear as day. It says XRP was the seventh on the top 10 list. However, the change in the US administration has paved the way for XRP to continue to increase in value, replacing the SEC chairman, Gary Gensler. So this lets you know that this is a new document. This isn't something old. Gary Gensler just left this year. He just was replaced. It said that was a big deal because a lawsuit between Ripple and the company behind the XRP token and the SEC continues to drag on after more than 4 years. Now, the only thing that we're waiting for right now is the settlement that has already been submitted. We're just waiting on the judges to do their thing. Once they give the thumbs up, there was an injunction. The only delay is there was an injunction in the case. And what they're trying to do is basically get the injunction removed so that Ripple can still continue to fully 100% operate their business how they see fit. Once that's done, this case is a wrap. It's done. It's over. 4 years complete, right? But we already know at this point, it's already done and over with. I say all this to say that, guys, this stuff is in high level documents. This thing is being pushed behind the scenes, behind the curtain. This is why we tell you it's important to be abreast, to be aware, and to be present. If you're with a group like Skyton Academy, you're with the people who care about this information most, and we come with receipts. This stuff isn't just us just talking, spewing nonsense. This is about actual factual data that's verifiable. Man, listen, I get excited about this type of stuff because it's going to continue to pop up in different documents. The connection points are just beyond me at this point. Now, here's one thing that I did want to cover because this is new news and it just happened today. So I was going down a rabbit hole a little earlier and I was looking at global on a global stage. I'm looking at what's happening around the world when it comes to stablecoins. I know the GENIUS Act here in the United States, and we covered this yesterday with our members. The GENIUS Act, it just passed essentially, and it's still in Senate, but it passed. It got the thumbs up. It's a bipartisan bill. There was 16 Democrats who gave it the thumbs up. So this is really good traction that's being made right now. Now, what's going to happen is it's got to go through. We're thinking after Memorial Day is probably when it will finally get passed. Right after that, it'll go through the rest of the Senate, I think the House, and then President. He'll sign it into law, right? It's done. Um, so I'm looking and I'm like, who else has global regulations right now that's going on? Of course, you guys know about Mika. We reference this all the time. Now, here's the one thing that we didn't reference because this just happened today. And when I say today, I mean absolutely today. Now, Hong Kong's authority, Hong Kong's monetary authority, excuse me, they just passed a landmark piece of legislation that is going to reshape global stablecoin markets. So it's just called flat out the stablecoin bill. And basically, it establishes a licensing regime for fiat reference stablecoin issuers that operate in or from Hong Kong. Now, the HKMA, that's short for Hong Kong Monetary Authority, they basically are the, they're like almost like they're a little greater than the SEC, right? They're the big boys. They're like the central banks of Hong Kong, and they run the institutions that's in Asia. Now, when I started looking at it, I'm like, all right, what exactly do they do? So, yeah, they're one of the most respected central banking institutions in Asia. They oversee monetary policy. They supervise the banks. They maintain financial infrastructure, and they ensure the stability of the HKD, which is the Hong Kong dollar, right? So I started looking, and I'm like, what is the connection point between them coming out with the stablecoin bill? Then I started thinking, couple years ago, there was a pilot program called it was the EHKD, right? E is in Echo, HKD. Now that pilot program was where one company that was cryptocurrency based in the United States, they basically partnered with Fubon Bank to explore tokenized real estate transactions using Hong Kong's central bank digital currency. Now, this project was called Project Victoria. Now, I said, oh, snap. So they today just passed the stablecoin law and the stablecoin bill in Hong Kong to do tokenized real estate transactions using their digital dollar in Hong Kong. Global stage, one crypto company, Ripple. I'm like, oh snap. What's happening right here in the States? That same company is leveraging, excuse me, that same company is leveraging its technology for the United States, is being set up behind closed doors, and now it's starting to be ushered in slowly but surely, but it's still facing little haters. You know what I mean? And when I say little haters, I mean there's people that's in position, senators, Cynthia Loomis, hello. Now, we just had our own stablecoin bill that got, passed through. So now everybody's in agreement that this is a good bill. Now, there was supposed to be a meeting that was supposed to take place. In this same meeting that was supposed to take place, this was with Brad Garlinghouse. Brad Garlinghouse is the CEO of Ripple. Hello. Now, they were supposed to talk about how they were going to continue to make one, the stablecoin bill the most effective, right? There was some language within it that was supposed to basically be changed. And I found this out through a deep dive. So the language that Brad Garlinghouse essentially wanted changed was the fact that it was a part of the bill, and this was in the draft. I don't know if it's still in there right now, but there was a piece that was in the draft that basically gave everyone from criminals, criminal enterprises, um, terrorists, etc., access to utilize Tether, right? And basically, it only shut them out of regulated spaces, but it allowed Tether to still operate in places outside of regulated markets. So nothing in the EU, nothing in the United States. But then there are still multiple other countries right now that don't have formal regulations, and it was going to allow Tether to still operate. And that was the back door. Steve always gave everyone the nugget that these guys that are criminals, they always are going to leave a back door for them to basically have their way, manipulate whatever system they need to, regardless. There's always an in and an out for them. That was it. Now, when I read the excerpt, it literally states with Mika compliance, you have to be one-to-one backed. Tether is not. Tether never provided any attestation statements, none of that. So because they're still operating and they're still minting billions of dollars out of thin air, they're basically a Ponzi and they're manipulating Bitcoin. Now, Senator Cynthia Loomis, where she comes in at, she canceled the meeting with Brad Garlinghouse and she's not allowing him to reschedule. Now that she's not allowing him to reschedule, crypto Twitter is in a uproar. Everybody's going crazy right now. And the reason they're going crazy is because they're like, hey, listen, what's going on? You're supposed to be on the good side of things. You're championing this stablecoin act and this bill, and you keep tweeting about it. But what you're doing on the back end is you're only trying to push forward Bitcoin. You're literally trying to shut out everything that involves Ripple and XRP and what RLUSD is going to do. So I now knew that something was wrong with this. And again, do a deep dive. Come to find out, it's Senator Cynthia Loomis's son-in-law. He's married to, his name is Will Cole. Will Cole is married to Senator Cynthia Loomis's daughter, Annalise. Now, I started looking and I'm like, why would he only post like it's like um just wild tweets and chaos about XRP? It's like, and it's only Bitcoin maxis saying this stuff. XRP is a scam, Ripple is nonsense, it's a Ponzi, etc., etc. They're going on and on and on. And I'm like, why is he posting this? I start reading the tweets and then I go down the rabbit hole, right? So I find out that the son-in-law, Will Cole, he's the head of product at a company called Zafrite. This is a Bitcoin payments company that's based out of Austin, Texas, right? And his background was in product management and leadership roles that focused on Bitcoin related um, financial services, right? And he was associated through investment with Multicoin Capital. And they're a cryptocurrency investment firm as well, and they're big on Bitcoin. So I'm like, now it makes sense. Brad Garlinghouse never, ever, ever stepped on the toes of Bitcoin, ever. He always was about collaboration, working together, just pushing everything forward because he feels like if Bitcoin is going to succeed, everything else will succeed that it's supposed to. He also said that 99% of cryptos are going to die. In my humble opinion, there's nothing humble about me. Bitcoin is one of the 99% that are going to die. That's what I feel, right? Based on this information. I don't think it's going to be around, right? And when I say that, I genuinely mean that. And we showed you guys the chart. So if you take away what is propping up Bitcoin, what happens to Bitcoin? It's going to drop. It's going to get crushed. But it paves the way for the rest of these other cryptocurrencies that have utility that solve real world problems. It's going to allow them to thrive, right? And that's going to cause more interoperability, more innovation. This is going to help the market scale. Everybody is working together right now, or they're actually trying to find connection points where they can build together. But the US is focused on one thing: American made cryptos. So that basket of cryptos, if you're talking about American made cryptos, who made Bitcoin? Where was Bitcoin made? Right? That's the question that exists. So if you start to realize Bitcoin actually doesn't do anything, and Senator Loomis is passing this bill, and she just said that President Trump supports this bill. What do you think happens when Trump and his sons realize that Bitcoin really doesn't do nothing? If you were pushing only for Bitcoin, wouldn't you stand in the way of Brad Garlinghouse? That's exactly what Senator Cynthia Loomis is doing. So right now, the whole crypto Twitter is on her neck. They're going crazy right now in the tweets. I'm following it closely, just watching to see what's going on. And it's wild because she is the head of the Senate Digital Asset Subcommittee. She's supposed to be on the right side of this thing. But for a person to do this and step in the way, that just means one thing: she's already bought. There's a puppet master controlling her strings. This is not by coincidence, guys. So this is the same thing. And as I went further down the rabbit hole, A16Z, Andreessen Horowitz, those were, the guys who was funding, Senator Cynthia Loomis. So this is the Eefgate story all over again. This is why we tell you guys you can't trust these people, right? And when I say these people, I mean politicians. Somebody who just pops up in the spotlight, you can't just take their words for face value. You actually have to do research to see who incentivizes them, who supports them, where their money is coming from that allows them to be in these positions to be able to do what they're doing and talk how they're talking. I say this all the time. You have to pay attention and have discernment. I don't know what it was about her, but every single time that she was speaking, this is not like I'm not defaming her, I'm not trying to tear her down, but this just is what it is. This is my personal take. I would hear her speak and I would listen. I'm excited about the overall gist of things. I'm like, all right, she's about cryptocurrency. She's about the bipartisan bill. She wants everybody to be together. And, this is a good thing for the industry. But then when you actually start to see, you know, behind that veil, when you pull the curtain back, you actually can start to see that it's still a lot of payola situations that's going on. So ultimately, what I want to say is do not start paying attention to these people just because they have a title or they're in front of a microphone. You can put anybody in front of a microphone and just let them talk and let them say what they're going to say. But the proof in the pudding is always about who is behind these people. Who do they support? What values and principles are they standing on? Right? Sometimes this is just what happens. So I'm gonna continue to follow this. I want every single one of you guys to follow this, and you have to make sure you guys are staying on point and watching as this industry unfolds because we're at the most pivotal place in history ever. And you guys got the front row seat. I can go on and on and on, but ultimately, this is what I want you guys to realize. This industry is only at $3 trillion right now. We're about to get an influx of capital once we get these stablecoin bills and all of these regulations put into place. We're about to get an influx of capital that is going to be unheard of. And you have to be ready. You have to be prepared. If you feel like by any means you are not prepared, then what you need to do is you need to get with us, Skyton Academy. You need to get into this community. You need to learn, get all the foundational information that you possibly can. It's $50 a month, guys. It's super cheap. I know we got a bunch of people on YouTube that's watching this right now that's going to watch the replay. Listen, I honestly don't care where you get the information from, but I can only vet our information. I know that if you can feel this passion on something that's free, imagine what we have inside course curriculum. You can ask some of the other people that comment because they're students, they're members of the academy. They learn from us. They went from not knowing anything about crypto to now being able to speak high level, to know how to research. They know how to research their own projects. They know how to deep dive on their own, and they are able to make calculated decisions based off the information that they have. And they got it from our course curriculum. Again, it's $50 a month. It's $1.66 per day. If you want to do the math, that's cheaper than coffee. That's cheaper than fast food runs. It's there. This is your responsibility, guys. Only thing I can tell you is this industry, this market, these regulations, these laws, these rules, they're not going to wait for anybody. These institutions, the top 100 of the Fortune 500, they're already here. They're already integrating with this cryptocurrency and blockchain technology into their technology stack. And they are literally about to flip a switch. When the switch gets flipped, one or two things happen. Either you're in position or you're going to be on the sidelines and you're going to be mad, sick to your stomach because you didn't move when you had the prime opportunity. We'll still be here. We'll still be around. Nobody's probably going to tell you, we told you so, but that's just something that you got to live with. These prices, they're not going to stay the same. If you don't know how to operate, you don't know how to buy, sell, move, protect the assets that you buy, all of that information is all included inside of our Skyton Academy membership. The link to join is right in the description below. That's all I got for you. I'm not here to preach to you. I'm just telling you guys what I know. This is the time. This is the moment, the light bulb moment. And every single one of you guys are the master of your circumstance, essentially. We all make choices every single day. So your choice has to be to act now, put yourself in a position where you and your family can thrive and you can learn this thing ahead of time as we are only 7% of the global markets, or you can stay distracted. You can worry about, Tory Lanez and Meg Thee Stallion and Diddy Case and all this other nonsense. That's a choice. Whatever your choice is, that's on you guys. But for the people that's here, that's locked in, that's focused, I'm super proud of you. And I hope you guys are dialed in. This summer, I'm gonna take this last little gem out of Steve's book. Steve gave this message and said, do not take the summer off. That was probably one of the most important statements that I probably heard in the last, I want to say, week or so. And the reason being is because there's so many moves that's about to happen. The information is not going to stop. The connection points, the partnerships, the rules, the regulations, the breakdowns, none of that stuff is going to happen. Yes, you guys can enjoy yourself, relax, and do whatever you need to do. But the importance, the responsibility is on each and every single one of you. And I encourage you, if you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for your family, do it for your legacy, and bring somebody else with you into the fold and say, listen, let's learn this thing before the rest of the world transitions and we're just users. You want first movers advantage, and that's right now. So before that train keeps moving, y'all know where to join, Skyton Academy. All right. So this has been Connect Wednesdays, episode 93. I want you guys to tune in every single week, same time, same place. We love y'all. Appreciate y'all. See y'all on the next one. Peace.